Dear ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure for me to be with you here from Germany to talk about our topic aquaculture, which is also part of agriculture. And we are happy to have this content for EuroTier China. My name is Birgit Schmidt Puckhaber, and I'm project manager for aquaculture within the DLG. And when I'm not with DLG affairs working, then I run our farm together with my husband. We run a farm in the north of Germany and rearing carp and trout in the far north. Well, let us go back to aquaculture as our topic. Aquaculture is the controlled breeding, rearing and harvesting of aquatic organisms from marine waters, inland waters, but also from tanks. We have not only fish, but we have also aquatic organisms as mussels or algae, and we will see that in the next slides. We have a record high of 140 million tons of aquaculture products and production in 2018. That's what the Food and Agriculture Organization published in 2020, and out of it 82 million tons fish and 32 million tons of algae and others. So you see in this slide the different species we talk about in the next 20 minutes. So next slide, please. Yeah, that is the topic, aquaculture. What a diversity, and that is really a difference compared to other segments of agriculture. You have the species pig, you have the species cow or cattle, you have some species collected in the word poultry, and a few species. But if we talk about aquaculture, it stands for 600 species in production, and that is really diverse. You see it on this picture that we have half of it are finfish in our aquaculture production, but we have also shrimps and mussels and algae and other aquatic plants. Next. Let's go to this state of world fisheries and aquaculture production from the FAO. It's published 2020. I mentioned that already, and you see in this graph the world capture and aquaculture production in million tons over a time period of 1950 to nearly 2020. And you see that we have a stagnation in catch, but we have a continuous growth in aquaculture. The orange and the red signs spaces are for catch, and the blue ones are for inland and for marine aquaculture. So we have a severe growth in aquaculture production. Next. This is to show where at the end is aquaculture done. And well, we can see quite obvious that China is the region where aquaculture is done, and is the major fish production, accounting for 35% of the global fish production. It is really a big country for aquaculture. I checked the different regions. China, we excluded China from Asia, and then we have America, Europe, Africa, and Oceania. And let's go to China first. It's the time period from 50 to 2020 as given in this the other graph. We see that we have a severe increase of catch production and aquaculture production in this period of time, and the aquaculture increase is quite high. If we see Asia, excluding China, we have still a fish production of 34%, and so aquaculture is done in this area. You see an increase in catch fish and also in cultured fish and other aquatic species. It changed a bit in America. We have a high percentage of wild caught fish, and a small percentage of aquaculture, which has grown in the last 20 years a bit, but not that much. In Europe, we have a stagnation in catch, you see that already, and we have a growth in aquaculture, but only in a small percentage. And very promising, and my personal opinion is that we can be lucky about that Africa is growing in catch and also in aquaculture, particularly in the last 10 years. So I spent some time in Africa for working for some fish projects there, and it is a very performing country, and we hope it will go this way in the next also in the next 10 years. Oceania is well, quite small. So let's have a look to the next slide. That is to summarize that aquaculture happens in Asia. Dot. That's it, and that's what we see also in this cake. The blue piece of cake is the biggest, and that is Asia. Yeah, let's go to the European aquaculture fish production. Here we look on the fish and not on the other aquatic species, and we go to 1,000 tons now and not to 1 million tons as we had it in Asia production. And we can summarize as Europe provides only 3.7% of world aquaculture production. And we have 3 segments. In this graph, we have Norway, which is part of Europe, but not part of the EU. We have the EU member states, and we have other countries not in the EU. We have to do it like this because we want to show that Norway is a high-performing country. The salmon industry of Norway is really without competition. It grows significantly in the last 20 years. You see there they go from 2,000 from 500 tons to nearly 1.4 million tons, and it is shown that the whole EU has not that or has nearly that much fish production in this period of time. And you see that we do not have a change in the production. The other EU countries, let me pick up the Turkey out of these non-EU member states, because the development in Turkey is really surprising, and it's a high-performing country for the production of mainly trout for all the markets around. So, next slide. Yeah, we plan to have a small video here showing the salmon production in Norway, and we couldn't do that, but we will have some pictures out of this production. And we thank the Norwegian Seafood Council in Hamburg for providing us this this view into the Norwegian salmon production, which is really an example for high-performing, good supported, governmental supported industry segment. That is to say, they have a good support by hygienics, they have a good support by feed and other production parameters. So let's have a look from egg to table. Yeah, here's the fertilization of the roe, and takes place outside of the fish, of course, and you can separate the parental fish and select it for breeding and for having the eggs inseminated, as you can see here. The first 4 to 6 weeks, the larvae are fed by itself. It's at the yolk sac, and they are fine for the first weeks, and then it starts to, well, bring them to feed. That is, everything is in fresh water now. Then they are brought to a small tank site, also fresh water, and they were really controlled every day. And the first feeding is started, and you have to be aware that you will not have dead ones or some waste things and solids in the water. It's a kind of management which has to be done quite good. Yeah, then they will go to the sea first time after 12 to 60 months. They are no longer smolts. Now they come to the seawater. That means they have the main rearing phase and feeding phase in the seawater. They change their skin color. They go to silver and start to grow rapidly in the seawater. Here you can see the shape of the net cages in the fjords of Norway. They have a good water exchange, the best conditions you can have in the world. Maybe competition is only come from Chile, where also these water conditions which is needed for excellent salmon production. They use and feed is the main part, the main parameter to perform in salmon farming. And you see here an automatic feeding system on top of the cages so that they can be fed whole day long. And the feeding is controlled by underwater cameras to be sure that the feed is also taken by the fish and not brought in the environment and is an effluent with bad conditions for the environment. They are very much under control, all these farms in Norway. Yeah, you see here a marketable size from 4 to 6 kg. The salmon is ready to be processed, and you see the shape. It's this like a rocket. It's like it's a very performing fish with high meat quality. And after some hours, it's in the processing plant. They were pumped and brought on ice, and then they were killed, and they were stunned and killed and slaughtered, and everything is done by driving belts and, well, controlled by hand. These filleting machines are calibrated, and they have to supply the markets with a variability of plus minus 5 grams per piece. So they are very high performing processing street, you can say, yes. Yeah, delicious. I'm not sure if you have already had lunch or dinner, but if you see that, it is really tasty. It has a good color. It's no white tissue in it. It's just a fine fillet meat, and here fresh like sushi. Yeah, from Norway, let us go back from Norway to Germany. Germany is a small country and not that much performing in aquaculture, but we are, well, have a long tradition in carp culture and pond culture. The carp you see here is carried by Peter. Peter is one of our staff members. You will see him a few slides later again. So Germany, I told you, we are carp and trout producer. We have nearly 2,500 farms in total for all production systems, which are the ponds for carp and the pond and raceways for trout. Or we have also the recirculated aquaculture systems, a new and high-performing technology system for different species like eel, catfish, sturgeon, or even pike perch. Or we have net cages, but only few because it's not allowed to have inland net cages in Germany. And you have some marine systems for mussel production, and that is every year in another way. So you are not sure if we have 20 tons or 20,000 tons of mussels because it's in marine system. In the harvest, we do not reach that much as Norway or other countries. We reach 20,000 tons of finfish nearly, and 20,000 tons of mussels, and we have well, only 2,600 tons coming from the recirculated aquaculture systems. But we see that there is an increase, and we will we will perform better within the next years with this with this kind of production. So the next slide. Yeah. This is a white fish called Coregonus lavaretus, one of our special fish in our farm. So yes, I have to show it to you. And this fish and all people of Europe and ask what is up with aquaculture in the EU. And maybe we can find some answers on the next slide. At a glance, the EU and the German strengths and weaknesses are listed here. We are, of course, strong in consuming. We have a very high demand on fish and seafood. Only in Germany, we have 1.1 million tons of fish and seafood consumed in 2019. That is quite a lot. We have a high-performing food and fish feed industry, and we have very high quality food standards. Products produced in Germany have an excellent reputation, and we have, of course, a high technological level for filter systems, for recirculated aquaculture systems, mainly also to get the water reused, because water is a very, very high quality and has to be a good resource, a protected resource, of course. Weak means for us that we have a very, very low self-sufficiency. We import more than 80% of our fish. We have high environmental protection restrictions following the EU rules, and you cannot get a new permission for water usage of natural water resources as lakes or rivers, or it's not. So you're not allowed to just use it for fisheries. We have very high costs for energy, labor, oxygen, and feed. And so this goes for Germany. We have all aquaculture affairs decided in 16 different federal states. And well, it's not easy to talk with the same and one opinion for Germany. So, but Germany suffers from that. Next slide. Yeah, just to have a look on that is, it goes for all species, also for aquaculture, but also for cattle and other species produced in our aquaculture systems. We have to care for the production technique, for the genetics. We have to care for an excellent on-site management, like pumping and grading the fish. And we have a high health and hygienic standard, and we need a very good processing and product quality control to have a successful production. But feed and feeding is the most important thing, and we should look very clearly and very concentrated on this point. But the time is that we have not enough time to talk about that more, but we will do it maybe on another show. And have my next slide now. Yeah, here's Peter again with his net, and Peter is with us in our farm for more than 45 years now, and so that should show that fish farming is not just job for us; it's a part of our lives and our families, and that goes also for other families working with fish farming and aquaculture. I hope I could give you a glance about the aquaculture details, and I hope you have a good show and stay healthy, and thanks for your time and attention. Goodbye.